We have just completed the Moving Beyond the Page literature study with Esperanza Rising, and today I want to talk about how we used it, what we liked about it, and what we didn't like quite so much. Now, this is a study from Moving Beyond the Page. They have quite a few studies throughout for a year-long curriculum. We do not use it that way. We use it as an individual literature study. This is for ages 10 through 12. Now, this is the second Moving Beyond the Page literature study that we have completed in our homeschool. I do have a review of the first one that we did, which was Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. I'll make sure that I link that video down below. This Esperanza Rising had some of the same components as the other one, but there were so many things that were different with this compared to Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. With the literature study, you need Esperanza Rising, and then they also recommend the What Was the Great Depression book, which we love the Who Was books, so this was right up our alley for us to utilize this along with it. Now, my daughter did use this composition book as her notebook for this literature study, and you can use basically any type of notebook that you would like, whatever works better, 3-ring binder, spiral notebook, etc., but we just like these composition books. She did use this for everything within the study, and she used about half of her composition book. Throughout the study, Moving Beyond the Page does ask you to go to specific links for you to be able to utilize some of the resources that they have for each individual study. You do have to set up a free account with Moving Beyond the Page for you to get access to these resources, but again, it is a free account that you just need to include your information in. And some of these resources were amazing. And so I highly encourage you to go ahead and set up that free account so that you can experience the resources that they have included within this study. The Esperanza Rising literature study, I just purchased the actual bound one from Rainbow Resources. You can purchase a PDF download. It starts with how to utilize, and do not overlook this, but it is something that they show you for when you're using Moving Beyond the Page as your base curriculum, but there's definitely some very important information. This does show you the different materials that you'll need for each lesson. And then there's a unit review sheet, and you go into Unit 1. For Unit 1, it says that this will take 2 days. We did utilize 2 days for this. It does give you different Spanish vocabulary that you need to know. These are vocabulary words that are included in the Esperanza Rising book. This first lesson is truly setting the stage as to what is going on in America at the time, how the Great Depression was impacting families. There are diary entries and letters to help understand what was going on. Then you can look at Spanish vocabulary, your map of Mexico, and then you get into reading more about the book and doing the individual lessons. Now, these lessons are set up for 1 day for the lesson. We actually used more than 1 day for quite a few of them. You can see that sometimes you will have grammar activities. So this is for quotation mark. Each day has different activities based on what you are reading for that day. Sometimes it is writing activities, sometimes it is drawing activities, sometimes it's critical thinking activities, more Spanish vocabulary. This is an activity based on that Spanish vocabulary. So you can see that there are activities that are included for history, writing, grammar, punctuation, critical thinking, and then this is our lesson 10. There are a total of 10 lessons plus your final project. Your final project is something that says takes at least 2 days. We took a little bit longer than 2 days for it. You can also do a reader's theater. The end of the book is a parent overview. This was great because for the different questions that you needed to ask for reading comprehension, they have those questions and then the correct answers as well as the answers for the different activities throughout the book. So I really liked this parent section. It helped quite a bit with discussions for Esperanza Rising. They do have a handy guide to writing and grammar, which includes pretty much everything that you're talking about throughout this book. This is something that I was able to refer to as needed. Also, there's a rubric. So I like having something that shows what should we be looking for? What's something that my daughter needs to be able to do based on this? Finally, we do have the summary of skills. As I mentioned, my daughter utilized this composition book for everything she did. This was including the writing and then some of the different activities. For example, when we were doing the background, she was supposed to look up a picture based on the information in this diary. You could make a poster. There's different things that you could do. I just wanted everything to be together. And so she did just glue within this. Also, for any of the worksheets that she did, I just had her cut them out and put them in here. So this was a great place for everything to be together for this Esperanza Rising study. Each day throughout the study, they ask you to be a specific type of researcher. So for example, you could be a cultural commentator, you could be a literary luminary, you could be a dialogue dissector. There is something that they ask you to do after every reading. When we first started this, my daughter was just a little bit overwhelmed with what they were asking her to do, but she pushed through and she actually really enjoyed these. She enjoyed the alliteration for how they labeled them each day as to what she was going to do, and then she realized that it wasn't nearly as hard as what it had originally sounded to her that it was going to be. And so she did like doing these different activities. And there's a different activity, a different thing that they want you to focus on for each reading day. And so that is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to think about those things while you're reading. What was the dialogue in this? How would you have changed it? How, if there was an opportunity for you to give more dialogue, what would you do? How can you change a paragraph from something that is not dialogue to including the dialogue? And so that was very interesting to her and something that she really enjoyed. Now, we are a cooking family, so of course when they asked you to make the Mexican meal, we said yes, and that was fun as well. I'm so glad that they did put the recipe in here. It made life very easy to be able to utilize this recipe for the meal, and it was fun for it to refer back to parts of the story. So for example, avocados are something that is definitely included in the Esperanza Rising story, and so we got to make guacamole out of avocados. And so things like that, this literature study did a great job of referring back to the story with each of the different activities that we were able to do. My daughter's least favorite activity in this entire literature study had to do with art. She was asked to draw pictures based on the novel as to what the train cars looked like for the first class passengers and then for the peasants. And she did not like this part. This was definitely the thing that she put the least effort into, and somebody who loved art would probably love drawing this because the book was so visual in how they described these different cars, but it was just not something that she liked to do. On the other hand, the activity that she loved the most, absolutely 100% the most, was the last activity that they had, your end of the story activity. They ask you to draw a movie poster for a movie based on the book Esperanza Rising. My daughter didn't really like that. Again, the art component. They ask you, the second step to this activity was to draw different sets. Again, didn't like that. The art component. The drawing of the art, the drawing on the art component, I should say. Now, step 3 for this activity was to write a trailer, to write a movie trailer based on this book. We didn't do that. What my daughter did was she actually acted out a trailer. She did it all by herself. She was a one-person movie trailer where she had different costumes that she put on based on what was going on with Esperanza in the book. She did amazing on this movie trailer that she wrote, directed, filmed, edited. She did all of it on her own, and that was wonderful. She loved it. And I'm so excited that that was the final project for this book study. We did love this Moving Beyond the Page study. We will definitely be doing more from Moving Beyond the Page. It does take quite a bit for us to do these studies. We put a pause on some of our other subjects, mostly surrounding language arts, because we want to really focus on the literature study. This has been great fun, and I'm looking forward to our next one. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.